Hi, this is Joachim Kans, the singer of Hammerfall, and you're watching CMS TV.
But I ran into her at the NAMM show. She was, sitting basically right in front of me, and I went over and talked to her for a couple of minutes and grabbed that photo with her.
He said, "Hey, baby."
But she always remembers me, though.
Well, that's nice. I'm sure she's not. I don't know her. I just don't know her. I because I wasn't a fan, I did not go out of my way to see her. I'm sure, the funny part is I'm positive that she played probably a half dozen shows that I was at, but I used to stay in the parking lot if I hated the fucking opening band. I would just drink, we would bring a case of beer or two and we put it in the trunk and we'd get to the show and we would just figure, well, the main band's going to go on at like 8:30 or so we'll go in at 8:30.
I getcha.
And then we would just drink our way to 8:30 and we always missed the fucking opening bands.
See, that's the whole difference between you and me as far as our live show experiences. Your live show experiences always involve copious amounts of alcohol.
Fucking right, yeah.
But me, I actually went to see the band and see the show and listen to the music. It was never about the whole party and the drinking and all that, because I never did that.
I'm too hypercritical when I'm sober. When I go to a show and I'm sober, I'm way over critiquing everything. When I go to a show with a good buzz, especially now, I mean, in the old days, I used to get fucked up. But now I just have like a few drinks, 3-4 drinks at a show. And I like that because I get nice and smoothed out. And then I just kind of let the music sort of flow. Like I'll tell you one that probably I would have not liked as much if I hadn't been kind of buzzed up a little bit.
Okay.
Was Glenn Hughes.
All right.
I saw Glenn Hughes do the Deep Purple show. Kelly and I both, we had like 3 or 4 drinks before we left. And then we had like 2 drinks there. So once we got there, got in our seats and had a couple of doubles, it was like, all right, got a nice buzz going. Got that psychedelic lighting going on.
Right.
Hughes sounded awesome. Or maybe he didn't, but he sounded awesome to me. It was just like,
it might not have even been a very good show, but as long as I was kind of buzzed up, it sounded great to me.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. When I got the MP3s, I was less enthused about the show than I was when I was sitting there watching it.
Okay.
And I know that has a lot to do with the amplification and everything else, but I was in a good mental head place, nice mellowed out, just chilling out, watching some Glenn Hughes and was like, fuck yeah, this rocks, but that's how I like it to be. I like having just a little bit of a buzz going when I go to any of that stuff, or else I get bored. I do. I get bored at shows a lot now because I've been to too many shows, and you've probably been to them too, but there is a thing about once you've been to like 1,000 fucking concerts, the minute it's not great, it's awful at least to me.
Right.
Like, if I see a band and I'll use Tesla as an example, and I don't really have a reason. I'm just picking them out of the hat. If I see Tesla today, let's just say they were playing here tomorrow, and I went to the show and the first 4 or 5 songs sucked or just were not great. They just didn't sound great. I would leave. I would not stay. I'd be like, fuck this. They lost it. I'm out. Because I've seen them so many times that I've seen them be great. So now I almost can't see them be average. Are you like that or no?
Yeah, well, I agree with that. And there's very few shows that I've left. I can basically count them on one hand. Mm-hmm. But Poison was on their tour with it was Poison, Damn Yankees, and Firehouse.
Okay.
Stayed through Firehouse. They didn't give them any amplification. They kind of sounded like a garage band.
Okay.
Because they basically didn't get any effects at all.
Right.
Damn Yankees came out, just ripped the place, ripped the roof off the place.
Right.
They were fantastic. Then Poison came out, and they just shoved all the faders up to 15. And it sounded like a roar. I mean, it was terrible. It was at Blossom Music Center. This was like 1993 or 94.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think it was 94.
Was it Richie Kotzen era, or was it?
It was the Kotzen era.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was so bad, I couldn't stay through about the third song, and I left.
Wow.
It was just that bad. It was unlistenable.
Why did you go? To see Poison?
No, I went to see Damn Yankees.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, why would you even stay?
They were their second record at that point.
Yeah, okay. So yeah. I mean, I would have stayed to see Damn Yankees, but I would have left the minute they did.
Damn Yankees was fantastic.
Sure.
And then Poison came out, and like I said, about the third song in, I was just like, I'm fucking out of here.
Right. Yeah.
So I left.
Yeah.
And the other show that comes to mind that I went to see Zakk Wylde.
Mm-hmm.
And he was playing the House of Blues, and I went there, maybe stayed 4 songs at the most.
Yeah.
And I was just like, can't take this. I'm out of here.
Too loud and too many people.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
I've walked on Zakk before.
And it was just like, I can't take this.
I've walked out on Zakk before, same reason, at House of Blues. And I didn't, he was just here, last week or something, and I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go is because he played fucking House of Blues, and I hate the room.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see. They always oversell it, and then you gotta fight to be crammed together, and I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm just not doing it. But dude, I've walked out on dozens of bands. I've walked out on Judas Priest a couple of times. I've walked out on Skid Row, the current Skid Row, or the Solinger Skid Row. I guess that's not the current Skid Row. That's like 2 Skid Rows ago. I walked out on the Solinger era once. Walked out on LA Guns when they played. Remember that show they played? I think you were at it, and I walked out on it. It was they were playing for like $10 at the Revolution or something. And it was like our friend Annette was like calling it her birthday party or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that? And they were just terrible. In fact, I've walked out on LA Guns twice, because I walked out on that, and I walked out at the Odeon when they did the American Hardcore.
Oh yeah, I didn't stay for that either. That's another one. I actually did walk out on that one.
Walked out on that. Walked out on Ozzy when it was Ozzy, Korn, and Deftones.
Yeah, that was at the Gund Arena.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 waiting to get to Ozzy because Zakk was playing, and it just got to be Ozzy came out and he sounded like shit, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah, what was that album? It was See You on the Other Side was on that record.
Osmosis.
Yeah, Osmosis. I went to that.
Yeah, he stinks. I've obviously walked out on several festivals early. The festivals, I almost never stay for the headliner for the festivals, because if I've been there since noon, I don't give a shit who's headlining. It better be somebody I've never seen before, and they're my favorite band ever. Because after 12 hours of sun and fighting in the mosh pit and everything else with people, I'm just done. I'm roasted. I don't want any more of it. Just let me go home. So, yeah, I've walked out on a shit ton of bands. I've walked out on Megadeth. It was Megadeth, maybe Cold Chamber and somebody else. I think I was with you and I walked out. In Akron? Was that Akron?
Yeah, that might have been at the Rhodes Arena.
It was a smaller room. I know that. It might have been Rhodes. But I left that show because I got bored with Megadeth. Mustaine was just kind of standing in the middle of the stage, bobbing his head and fucking playing. And I was like, all right, I'm bored with this. I'm out. Done. But again, a big part of it for me is that I've seen all these bands how many times?
Yeah. And then I agree with you. When you see them at the top of their game and then you see them in a diminished form, you're not interested anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's, the Metallica thing is a prime example. Metallica, they were untouchable. And even if you're not a Metallica fan, if you saw them from 82 to 90, about 94, they were untouchable live. They were as good as anybody ever has been live. Just ferocious. And then I saw them the one year. I actually have the poster on my wall in the other room. It was Metallica with Jerry Cantrell and Tantric were the bands. And right away, that tells you that's a bad Metallica show.
Well, that Tantric used to be what, Days of the New?
Days of the New.
Without Travis Meeks?
Yeah, just fucking shit. And then, Alice in Chains guy. And that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was him and Chris DeGarmo, which was pretty cool, actually. But Metallica came out, played a dull show of all new stuff. Then they finally get to the point where they're like, all right, we're going to play some old stuff. Who wants to hear the old shit? Everybody's, fuck yeah. They fucking come out, bring out stools. They sit on the fucking stools and do acoustic versions of like Fight Fire with Fire and, Kill 'Em All. And I was like, what the fuck is this, Phantom Lord? I was like, what is this shit? And then they went back to playing, like Enter Sandman and Sad But True. I was like, fuck this. This stinks. The only reason I didn't leave that one was because I wanted to get an autograph from Omar Vizquel, who was sitting next to us. So I waited till the end of the show, got my autograph from Omar Vizquel, and then left in fucking sulking sorrow. Because I was pissed off that I fucking wasted all that time at that fucking show. It was just a shitty show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've walked out on bunches of bands.
I think I walked out on an Iron Maiden show, what was it, like 10 years ago when they were doing that full, which
Matter of Life and Death?
That might have been it.
No, the one with These Colors Don't Run. That wasn't a Matter of Life and Death. That was, what was that album called? I don't even remember.
It wasn't The Book of Souls, was it?
That's the most current one. What is that album called? It's got the cannon on the cover. Not Dance of Death, not Matter. Where's Iron Maiden wiki? I'll know it as soon as I see it. I can't believe I'm spacing on this. That's one of those records I don't listen to anyway, so it's the one I don't know.
I think I walked out about maybe halfway through that one.
Yeah, that was a bad show for you too, because that not only was that, a bad album, but didn't you also have to sit through like Bullet for My Valentine or something?
Yeah, they did open.
Oh, that's painful there. Oh, it was a Matter of Life and Death. All right, yeah, it was a Matter of Life and Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bad show there. Fucking Bullet for My Valentine followed by them playing that fucking dog of a record. Woo. Yeah, pass. Although it does have that tribute to Richie Blackmore on that. Did you know that?
No, I wasn't aware.
The song's called The Pilgrim.
Yeah, neither do I care.
Yeah, it's a tribute to Richie Blackmore. It's The Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where that is. Just because we have a microphone and just because we can be seen on TV does not mean we're right.
Or credible.
Or credible or honest or anything. It doesn't mean shit. Every one of you dick fucks that are listening on your iPhone right now or are listening on a laptop that has a camera or whatever, you are every bit as capable and credible to make your statement as Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper or Shepard Smith or whoever the fuck. They're no more credible. Their words don't mean more. We're all just a bunch of douches. Every one of us. and you're literally taking your cue from a fucking flashlight that is flashing signals at you in your face. You're fucking stupid if you take any message from anybody other than your own personal beliefs. You can assess what they say, but if you ever take a message from anybody other than assessing it yourself, you're a fucking dummy. Period. That's all.
Or you're just lazy.
Yeah, well, which makes you an idiot.
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook, so it must be true.
Yeah. The blips on my screen told me to think this way. Are you fucking crazy?
I saw it on Twitter, man.
Yeah, you're just a fucking idiot. That's what you are. If I fucking hold a flashlight in your face and go boop, 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 that shouldn't make you think, well, I hate black people now, or gays are wrong, or gays are right, or anything. You know what it should be? It should be, dickhead, get that fucking flashlight out of my face. That should be your answer.
Right.
God damn, people stink.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lane in California. Hi, Lane.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm calling my friend Aiden, and we had a question for you.
Okay.
We want to know if you heard anything about the rumored Van Halen tour. If anything ever came of that.
No, nothing ever came of that. Did they come to your town?
Yeah, run. Go get your tickets, dude.
I did get an email today about Van Halen.
Okay.
Our good friend Skippy. Skippy sent an email today. Sent me an email.
Yeah.
And said that looks like Chris could be right. Sounds like Eddie might not be long for this world.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, there was a story out there. Again, this is all, who knows how truthful or how factual this is.
Mm-hmm.
Rumors swirl that Eddie Van Halen is very ill and suffering from an unconfirmed illness. Those close to him said, including one particular woman who recently made it a point to visit him for what they fear may be the last time. Sources tell gossip writer A.J. Benza that Van Halen has gotten some visits from his ex-wife, Valerie Bertinelli, who split from the 64-year-old rocker in 2002 after 21 years of marriages. Sources say she jumped at the chance to see if there was something she could do to make his day any easier.
Mm-hmm.
She's just the type, warm, loving, compassionate person, the source said about Bertinelli, who went on to wed some financier guy.
Mm-hmm.
When she left Eddie, when they were together, she was always cleaning up after him, straightening up his tie, or helping him comb his hair, blah, blah, blah.
Helping him comb his hair?
Yeah, that's what it says.
What's wrong with him? He couldn't comb his own hair?
Well, apparently not.
Okay.
So basically that's the rumor.
All right.
According to AJ Benza.
Well, and he's always a fucking solid lead, so.
He did have that show back in the, what was it, in the 90s into the early 2000s. What was the name of that show he had?
I just remember from Stern.
What was the Hollywood Tragedies or something? He would tell these Hollywood stories or
True Hollywood Story or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
Look him up real quick. AJ Benza. It was on. It was actually a pretty good show. It was kind of a shorter show, but he would always talk about these tragic stories of actors and people in Hollywood who ended up tragically killed or dismembered or fucked up or something.
Benza. Let's see. I just remember him fighting Stuttering John. Didn't he fight Stuttering John?
Yeah, I know that they got into it about something.
Mysteries and Scandals?
That's the one.
Okay.
That was actually a pretty decent show.
Can't say I ever saw it.
I actually enjoyed that show. It's on YouTube. You can watch the episodes.
Okay. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't as in-depth or detailed. It was sort of like the cliff notes of tragic stories of people in Hollywood.
Okay.
But not bad. He did a pretty good job hosting that show. But yeah, it's on YouTube. You can look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
But anyway, that's the rumor from AJ Benza that Eddie Van Halen is not doing so well.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
And say hello to Eric. Eric, you're our first caller. How are you?
Oh, wait a minute. That somehow went back to where. Let's go back to here.
Like if anything ever came of that.
No, nothing came of it, unfortunately, Lane. I mean, the latest rumor is they may tour next year.
Yeah, Eddie. AJ Benza says no.
But it's the same thing. Every single week, every show I do, people ask me about Van Halen. And there's just
Really? Every show you do, people ask you about Van Halen?
Every week.
Really? Is that the same one who always asks you every day about Vinnie Vincent?
Same people. They want to know those two things.
All right.
no real news. There really isn't, Lane. I know the fans are desperate for any information at all. They're a band that doesn't talk, doesn't do interviews, just have no idea what's really going on there. So saying anything is speculating, but there was talk about stuff this year, but now, if anything, maybe next year, but we really just don't know. I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard that maybe Eddie Van Halen isn't exactly doing well health-wise. I've heard that maybe they bring Michael Anthony back at some point. Apparently, Wolfgang Van Halen was on a TV show with his mother recently, who, of course, is Valerie Bertinelli. Thank you, Lane, for the call. And they talked about his new record coming out. My mother actually told me this over the weekend.
Oh, my.
Well, breaking news. Eddie Trunk's mother breaks a story.
They tried to talk to Eddie Van Halen and say, hey, Eddie, are you planning on touring next year? And all they got was,
I don't think so. Are you?
I don't know what show Valerie Bertinelli has now, but apparently, according to my mom, Wolfgang Van Halen said that his record was coming out like imminently.
He said what? Imminently?
Imminently.
It's kind of a weird. Okay.
Then we went to Eddie Van Halen. And he said, "Yes, the good monkeys. You want this bad thing. I love it."
All right.
Which I haven't heard anything about.
What?
Nobody has told me anything about.
What? What do you mean you haven't heard anything?
Come out soon. Wolfgang Van. Are you gonna get him on the show?
Man. When Eddie doesn't know, you know that there's no truth to any of this.
I know. I'm saying Wolfgang 7. It's going great.
All right, thanks, Ed.
Welcome, man. Anytime. I fucked this in again.
About that, nobody has released any music from it. So I can't believe that would be the case. I also don't know why he would be doing any sort of press promoting the record unless it is just going to drop and come out like any day.
Is everybody waiting for this or what?
The big Wolfgang Van Halen solo record?
I don't know if anybody's lining up for that or saying, when is that going to come out? God damn it. Stop teasing us.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. I mean, Van Halen people buy it, but nobody's sitting around hoping for that record.
I mean, what would their expectation be?
Brilliance.
Really?
Well, because Eddie has always said that Wolfgang is a better player than he is.
So what?
Yeah, that's his dad. What's he supposed to say?
Yeah.
He's not as good as me. What's he going to say? I mean, come on.
I mean, what would the expectation be for a Wolfgang Van Halen solo record? To go, man, I can't wait to get that because why?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I mean, is he some phenomenal guitarist? Is he a great singer? Does anybody know his work?
Well, we saw him with Van Halen.
Okay.
And I think he play some gigs with Mark Tremonti at some point.
I don't know. I
think he did that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just because it'll be any release that has the words Van Halen on it.
Okay.
That's why. Honestly, that's why.
That's just a dumb reason why.
But no, dude, it's just like it's a dumb reason to go see a fucking shitbag show with shitty David Lee Roth, but people line up to do it. Why? Because they'll say Van Halen on the ticket.
Well, yes and no.
Yes and no?
Yes and no.
David Lee Roth is trash.
I'm not saying he's a good performer or he sounds great, but he does have a body of work that people are familiar with.
Yeah. A broken body of work.
Well, regardless of how good it is or not, the fact remains he has a body of work.
Yeah. Well,
Wolfgang Van Halen has no reputation whatsoever.
Wait a minute. What about Different Kind of Truth? Didn't he play on that?
I don't know, because what I understand is those were just some rehashed songs that they did umpteen years ago.
I thought he played on it. But...
Well, he may have. I don't know. But point is would you know that was Wolfgang Van Halen playing bass on that?
Yes, of course.
How would you know that?
Because didn't I know it when of course it is Wolfgang Van Halen playing bass.
Okay, but does he stand out as something special on that?
First time I heard it, I was like, fuck, those bass tracks and those backing vocals. That makes it.
Sure.
That makes it. She's the woman. Yeah. That's Wolfie at his finest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This guy's a talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Sad that you didn't.
Big fan.
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
So I really don't know what's going on there. I don't know what the exact release plans are for his record. And
well, you better get on the stick and find out for us, Eddie. God damn it. I tune into your show for factual information, so get on it.
Yeah, he's probably sitting by the phone waiting for you, Ed.
Yeah.
Just have a call, Ed to Ed. Hello, Eddie. Yes. What are you doing? I'm working on the record. What are you doing? Want to hear some of it? Can't play for right now. But Wolfie's record. It'll be good. I promise it'll be good.
All right. Thanks for the call, Ed.
Hey, no problem, man. Rock on.
So here's an interesting thing. When I lived in California,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lady who worked at the mall. She had a corner flower stand at the mall.
Okay.
And I used to buy flowers for chicks and stuff, and so I'd swing through there because it was real convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a real nice lady, and I'd chit chat with her a little bit, and she would always ask me, what do you do? And it's just like, I do this, that, and the other. I work at this club and things. And she goes, she says, I used to be a in-home medical care.
Okay.
And I visiting nurse type thing,
Mm-hmm.
And she says I was the visiting nurse for a very popular singer-songwriter.
Okay.
And I was just like, well, who wasn't? She goes, yeah, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. I can't really say. And so after I got to know her, after a while, I got to know her to where we got to be kind of pretty good friends.
Sure.
And she finally told me it was Tom Johnson.
Wow.
And she told me about how bad off he was, with the, recovering from his drugs and all that. And she said I would go to the house to check up on him and, see what he needed and all these other things, and hey, sit down and listen to this new song. And she goes, to tell you the truth, it just wasn't very good. But then they got back together in, what was it, 89 for the Cycles tour. They put out that comeback album.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had the song The Doctor, and Little Taste of Love, and a couple of songs.
Yeah, that was after Michael McDonald decided to be solo Michael McDonald, right?
Well, no, the Doobies broke up. They broke up in like 82, I think. It was like 82 or 83.
Yeah, because the one guy and Michael McDonald hated each other. The other, whoever the other guy that was like the original member, Pat something.
Yeah, Pat Simmons.
Yeah, hated each other.
Yeah, so but they had a big farewell show where all the former members came out and performed. Right. And they broke up. They were basically, I think this last show was like in 83, and then the original, the nucleus of the original or the most popular lineup of Doobie Brothers reconvened, and I think it was 89, if I'm not mistaken.
Am I the only one that thought that the Michael McDonald years sucked? I hated that.
Well, but see, they went for more of a mainstream pop thing.
Yeah.
Because Michael McDonald used to be a sideman with Steely Dan.
Right.
And so, when Tom Johnson was having his issues,
mm-hmm.
they needed somebody to come in, and actually Michael McDonald was in the band at the same time Tom Johnson was, until Tom had to leave the band and get off the road.
Right. Yeah, I just Michael McDonald.
But they had some huge radio success, whether you enjoyed it or not. But they had some big pop success with Minute by Minute and all that stuff.
I keep forgetting. Is that them or is that him solo?
Oh, that's him solo.
Oh, I don't even know. I just know I liked them when they were another band. I liked them when they were drug addicts. I loved drug addict Doobie Brothers. I didn't like keyboard Doobie Brothers at all.
Right. Well, again, they were just moving with the times.
Yeah, not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, so, Michael McDonald came in 77 or 78, I think. And, they had success between 78 and 83 when they called it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they made it sound like they didn't miss a beat with him.
Mm-mm.
But I just don't like his voice at all on anything, on solo, on Doobie Brothers, whatever. I'm not a fan of him.
Well, regardless, they made a change there and it did change their sound, and it did change their approach to where they became more of a, mainstream, almost pop band rather than just a blue collar rock band.
Yeah, and they even said they were interviewing the guys, and they said, well, after Michael joined the band, it became a job.
Yeah.
It was going to work. It wasn't having fun. It was just going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And they all hated it. They all.
But the thing is that, once again, money talks when you get signed to multi-record deals and are getting a lot of radio play.
Yeah.
It's like, so what are you going to do? Are you just going to say, yeah, I'm just going to let that success pass me by, whether I like it or not?
Yeah, I'm going to start over as the bassist from the Doobies. Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah.
That'll get you interviews, but it won't sell one fucking record.
Right.
Yeah, I was the bassist in the Doobie Brothers. Were you? How about that?
Well, anyway, it's fun. I do enjoy those documentaries, and if I come across one that I have not seen before, or I wasn't familiar with the band, or I know who they are but I know very little about them, I'll always watch it.
Yeah, I do too. If I have one song that I like by them, I'll generally watch it.
And even if I don't like them, I'll watch them. Just to see how fucked up people get with their careers and stuff. They just piss everything away. It's just like, man, you worked so hard to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And then you just pissed it away.
The music business is definitely full of savages that just fucking steal. It's like I wouldn't want to work with anybody that had worked with anybody. They've all stolen from all of these bands, every single one of them.
Of course.
Every story is the same. The manager or the accountant stole all the money.
Yeah.
Well, don't hire those guys.
Well, but you see, when we have musicians on the show who talk about their contracts and stuff, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, I'm just thrilled to be signed, but they don't even realize what they're signing. They're just saying, oh, I got a record deal. Hey, and that's all they care about. And it's like, what do you mean we got to give away 90% of what we make?
Yeah. And there's always a vulture that's just willing to steal from a young, stupid kid.
Well, look at Black Sabbath and Don Arden.
Mm-hmm.
If you, Black Sabbath were doing, making a lot of money. They were making a big splash in the late 60s, early 70s. And, they were, quote unquote, living the life because they were poor boys from Birmingham. And, anything was better than 5 cents a day. If you got $3 a day, it was like, man, we're rich.
Yeah, rocking.
Yeah. And so, but the whole thing is that they started thinking, hey, we got to be making more money than this, don't you think?
An awful lot of asses in front of us. Why aren't we getting any money?
Yeah, we're only getting they're giving us like $5,000 a week. Do you think we're making more than that?
Wait a minute. These tickets are $10 each. There's 20,000 people. How did we only make $5,000?
But yeah, even in the Black Sabbath one, they talk about, questioning the finances and the management of, where did all that money go?
Yeah. I don't know. Don Arden somewhere.
Yeah, they were happy at the beginning because it was way more than they had as kids, but then they got older and it was just like, yeah, we've been doing this for like 7 years and, I don't have that much. So where is all the money?
I wonder if that's why they all get into these bad drug habits too, is because these fucking managers are okay with them being all fucked up so that they can't keep track of anything.
Yeah, they don't question anything.
And there's like, fuck, free weed, dude, free coke.
And that's what the guys in Black Sabbath were saying. Yeah, man, we had weed, we had coke, we had naked chicks, we were gigging, we had a couple of nice cars.
Mm-hmm.
What else could you want out of life?
Doing lines of blow off of strippers 3 a night.
Yeah.
Why would I be worried about my paycheck?
Yeah.
It is amazing how many people fucking blow all their money, though.
Mm-hmm.
They all do. It's amazing how few have actually kept any money.
Well, I mean, even look at guys like an Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
That guy filed bankruptcy, I think, twice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, dude, look at pretty much every band from the 80s. Every one of them has been broke at some, not everyone, but damn near every single one of them. Guys that sold a shit ton of records and still have to tour 40 years later.
Yeah.
Like Slaughter. And I don't know what they did with their money at all, but I would have thought, I mean, they had a good 5-year run where they were huge and everybody loved them. And, they were on MTV all the fucking time. They were selling a lot of records. They were selling out tours and they're still having to tour now.
Yeah. Well, Dana Strum, I don't think he needs the money because from what I understand, at least I've spoken with him on a couple of occasions and whatnot, but he's a shrewd investor. I think he owns like a bunch of properties and things in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, so he's like a real estate guy and, he does all right. And he plays music just for the fuck of having fun.
And before I go, shout out to the Classic Metal Show. I did an interview on there yesterday. Dudes are intelligent, awesome, prepared, funny. Please check them out. Classic Metal Show. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.